Go back!
That's a chilling scene from the critically acclaimed TV series The Handmaid's Tale, based on the novel by Margaret Atwood. Her sequel is coming to bookstores, reason enough for Martha Teichner to pay the author a visit.
And the Emmy goes to The Handmaid's Tale!
Oprah's exclamation was proof. The Handmaid's Tale is a big deal. It picked up 8 Emmys for Hulu in 2017. And when Margaret Atwood, the author of the 1985 book that inspired the TV show, made her way to the stage wearing handmade red, the applause, the standing ovation, spoke volumes.
They were dirty women, but you are special girls.
In Atwood's novel, handmaids are essentially sex slaves.
You girls will serve the leaders of the faithful.
Forced to bear children for infertile couples among the power elite. In Gilead, the totalitarian dystopia the United States has become after being taken over by Christian zealots.
Our prayer.
The shadowy figure slapping Handmaid star Elizabeth Moss in season 1. Atwood in a scary cameo.
Her fault.
We went with her to the Toronto church gym where the scene was shot. How many times did they shoot the scene?
I think they shot it 4 times.
Wow.
Me slapping Elizabeth, they had to keep shooting it because I wasn't doing it vigorously enough.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.
Well, just looking at the handmaids' outfits, what did you have in mind when you thought them up?
The concealment of the body, number 1, and the limitation of the body, number 2. So other people can't see you, but you also can't see other people. So that and the old Dutch cleanser package from the 1940s that showed this Dutch woman in a voluminous blue dress, but with a big white hat. So a vision from my childhood.
Outside the church, Atwood is recognized by teenagers attending day camp.
Break a leg.
Thank you.
At 79, she is Canada's most famous living writer. She's published 60 books. But The Handmaid's Tale has overshadowed the others. In English, it sold over 8 million copies. She began the book in West Berlin in 1984.
A symbolic year because of Orwell, and how could I be so corny as to have begun The Handmaid's Tale in that year? I couldn't help it.
What made you want to write it?
So there I am in West Berlin, surrounded by the wall, and I'm visiting various totalitarian regimes in East Germany and Czechoslovakia and Poland. So for instance, Ceausescu in Romania made a law that women had to have 4 babies, and they had to have pregnancy tests every month. And if they weren't pregnant, why not?
In the book and the television show, every atrocity, no matter how awful, had to have happened somewhere in real life.
It's not me who made this stuff up. The human race made it up, unfortunately.
And did you fully intend The Handmaid's Tale to be a warning?
What does it matter what I fully intended or not? It is a warning.
You felt the need to create this warning.
Simply because I have never believed it can't happen here. I've never believed that. And more people are joining me in that lack of belief.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Beginning in 2017, women all over the world began taking to the streets dressed as handmaids in the belief that fiction was indeed becoming fact, especially the restriction of women's rights.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Today, you see the costume, you know what it means. It's leaped out of Atwood's book into our politics.
I don't really expect things. I make educated guesses about possibilities, but I'm not a prophet. And if I were any good at gambling, I would do that and be a lot richer. So in the spring, you got the migrating warblers.
For more than 30 years, she spent her summers on Pelee Island in Lake Erie, the southernmost point in Canada. It is an important sanctuary for migratory birds. She helps to pay for conservation efforts on the island.
I've always been amongst the biologists and conservationists.
Margaret Atwood actually lived in the woods as a child with her family. Her father was an entomologist.
He was studying infestations, so things that cause large numbers of trees to die.
So you were way, way up in...
We were way up in northern Quebec, and then we were way up north of Lake Superior.
When did you decide you needed to be a writer?
I decided that I was a writer. Sounds like a strange thing to say, but I decided I was one when I was 16.
She's done a lot of writing here on Pelee Island. Why is it such a good place to write?
Nobody calls.
Ah, no interruptions. Did you write the new book here?
Some of it.
The Testaments, a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, will be published on Tuesday. Initial print run, 500,000 copies. Can you give us any hints?
So we know from book one that Gilead ends, but we don't know how. We're a little closer to knowing how.
Is there hope in the second book?
Why do you want me to give away the plot?
So people will...
Tons of hope.
Tons of hope.
Tons of, lots and lots of hope.
And one more right here in the front. Straight up.
In this whole process and the explosion of The Handmaid's Tale and its ripples in culture, what are you most proud of?
I'm Canadian, Martha. We don't do proud of.
What do you do?
Less embarrassed by.